Most people think IKEA's advantage starts with style. Clean Scandinavian design, small urban flats, furniture that looks better than the price suggests. But IKEA's own explanation points somewhere more mechanical. The company says an integral part of product design is figuring out how to box all the parts in the most efficient, tight, and flat way possible. IKEA also says that the less space a box takes up and the easier it is to stack, the more products it can fit into a shipment. And then it gives away the real clue. Optimized packaging is one way it keeps prices low. That means the flat box is not just a design signature. It is a cost machine. The box changes how much product fits into a lorry, how much space gets burned in transit, how much storage pressure builds up downstream, and how efficiently the company can move furniture through the system before the customer even gets home. IKEA roots this logic in its own history, saying Ingvar Kamprad launched home assembly tables in the 1950s. But the important part is not nostalgia. The point is that IKEA did not just invent a furniture look, it kept redesigning the product so the packaging itself could do economic work. That is the hidden mechanism in the familiar blue and yellow experience. The customer thinks they are buying a bookshelf. IKEA is thinking about how many bookshelves can fit in the shipment, how easily they can stack in a warehouse, and how cheaply the whole chain can move if the product travels as a flat pack instead of a bulky, finished object. IKEA's packaging language is unusually direct. It says product design includes working out how to box parts tightly and flat. It says flatter, easier to stack boxes mean more products can fit into a shipment. It says optimized packaging helps keep prices low. Put those three ideas together and the economics become clear. Furniture is expensive to move when it ships as air. A pre-built chair or cabinet takes up space in a truck, whether the inside of that space is useful or not. If you can break the product into parts, compress it into a flatter shape, and stack it densely, you do not just save room. You improve the economics of the whole journey. More products per shipment means each trip carries more sellable inventory. The transport cost is not disappearing, but the cost pressure per item can fall when the same lorry, container, or pallet position carries more value. The same logic keeps echoing after transport. Flat packs are easier to store than awkward built furniture. They create more regular inventory shapes. They are easier to count, easier to stack, and easier to move through back-end logistics without each item demanding special treatment. This is why IKEA's packaging story matters more than the usual consumer folklore. People often talk about Allen keys and instruction sheets as if the joke explains the business. It does not. The real power shows up earlier when the product is redesigned to travel efficiently. That is also why the flat box is such a durable symbol. It is not branding pasted onto the product after the fact. It is the physical expression of a commercial decision. Make the furniture fit the network instead of forcing the network to absorb the inefficiency of bulky furniture. So if you want the first real answer to why IKEA can feel cheaper than traditional furniture, retail, start there. Start with shipment density. Start with the idea that the box is doing financial work long before the customer starts building anything. The second part of IKEA's system appears in the store itself. In one of IKEA's own customer service explanations, the self-serve area is explicitly described as a warehouse area. The same guidance tells customers to check the pickup location on the tag and put the item directly on the cart. Another IKEA support page in the UK frames assisted shopping as extra help that can include picking items in the self-serve warehouse and loading goods into a vehicle. That wording matters because it shows the workflow is not an outsider theory. IKEA itself describes a shopping experience where the customer often handles part of the picking process inside what is effectively a warehouse zone. In a traditional retail imagination, the showroom is the front stage and the warehouse is the hidden back room where staff do the heavy lifting. IKEA blurs that boundary. The store still sells out inspiration and room sets, but for many products, the customer crosses into a system where retrieval and handling become part of the purchase journey. That changes cost to serve, not because labor disappears, but because some of the movement is shifted. The customer reads the label, the customer finds the aisle and section, the customer loads the cart. The customer becomes part of the operating flow. That does not mean IKEA is only a warehouse with branding on top. The showroom still matters, the shopping environment still matters, but economically, the store is doing more than displaying furniture. It is designed to let a customer complete some of the warehouse work themselves. And once you see that, IKEA's model looks less like simple discount retail and more like an engineered sequence. First, the product is designed to ship flatter. Then it is staged in a store system that lets customers handle more of the picking. By the time the purchase is complete, IKEA has lowered some of the handling burden not by hiding it, but by building it into the experience. This is where self-assembly enters the story, but carefully. IKEA's UK assembly page explicitly offers an optional furniture assembly service through TaskRabbit, with pricing starting at 33 pounds. The page's own language assumes a familiar reality. Sometimes assembling furniture yourself feels fine, and sometimes you would rather pay not to do it. That tells us two useful things. First, self-assembly is normal enough to sit inside the default customer expectation. Second, the final labor step can be externalized. If the buyer does not want to do it, there is a visible price for handing that job to someone else. What we cannot say from the current packet is that assembly is the whole economic secret. We do not have hard-sourced numbers for labor savings, margin contribution, or exact per-unit cost transfer, so the disciplined conclusion is narrower. Assembly is a support mechanism inside the broader IKEA system. The company benefits when the product has already been redesigned into transport-efficient parts, when the store has already shifted some of the picking and handling, and when the last mile of effort often remains with the customer unless they pay to avoid it. In other words, the Allen key matters, but not as a punchline. It matters because it belongs to a chain of design choices that keep the product flat, the logistics denser, and the store workflow lighter on staff-side intervention than a more traditional furniture model might require. That is a more serious argument than saying customers simply do all the work. They do not do all the work, but they do participate in a buying system that has been deliberately arranged so part of the handling and final step labor sits with them. So, the deeper lesson about IKEA is not that it found one magic trick. It is that it redesigned the economics of furniture retail across multiple linked stages. On the product side, IKEA says it designs packaging to be efficient, tight, and flat. On the logistics side, IKEA says that tighter packaging lets it fit more products into a shipment and that optimized packaging helps keep prices low. On the store side, IKEA describes self-serve areas as warehouse space and instructs customers to pick up many items themselves. On the service side, IKEA offers optional paid assembly, which shows the final step can stay with the buyer or be bought back as an extra service. Put together, that is not just a furniture brand. It is a cost-to-serve redesign. IKEA made furniture feel more affordable, not only by choosing what to sell, but by changing how the product moves, how the store works, and what the customer does inside the system. That is why the box matters so much. The box is where the model becomes visible. It is the point where design, logistics, warehousing, retail flow, and customer participation all start touching the same piece of cardboard, and that is the broader business lesson. Some companies cut prices by squeezing suppliers harder or accepting lower margins. IKEA's more interesting move was to redesign the operating system so the same piece of furniture could travel, store, pick, and assemble differently. The result is not just cheaper-looking furniture. It is a retail machine where the product format, the warehouse logic, and the customer experience are all pulling in the same direction. So the next time someone says IKEA is cheap because you build it yourself, the better answer is this. Self-assembly is only the visible end of a much bigger system. The real advantage starts earlier with flat-pack logistics and a store model that turns the customer into part of the workflow.